What's going on, my beautiful people? Give me a second here. I'm trying to follow my own feed so I can follow the sound. Make sure that the sound isn't sounding crazy. Last time I did a live session, it was really off. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me. If you guys are just joining me for the first time, I do this very sparingly, but it's exciting to actually answer some of the questions from you guys in the community. Thank you for always supporting the channel. Subscribe if this is your first time checking me out. This channel is dedicated to people who are going through heartaches, heartbreak. They're trying to heal their attachment, heal from a breakup, or even get that person back. So it looks like I got it up and working. So in today's video, I have a email client that emailed me and wanted me to respond on the video. So I'm going to do that for you guys because I feel like this is a great kind of example email of the type of clients that I deal with and different things that they're going through. I titled this video, My Dismissive Avoidant Ex. Dismissive Avoidant Boyfriend Left Me for his ex, because that's pretty much exactly what happened. And I'll go ahead and break that down for you guys as to what advice I give to this person. And I'm sure you're the one you're watching right now, so you'll get this live, and this will be here pretty much until I shut down my YouTube channel if I ever do it, which I don't see the point in doing that. All right, so my dismissive avoidant ex left me for another woman. All right, I'm just going to read this here for you quickly because it's a really short email. And if you guys have questions, please put it in the comments section right now. If you guys are interested in coaching, you can go to my website. But let me know where you guys are from. Here in the States, it's 11 o'clock here Central. And I know it's a little bit later because I have a lot of clients overseas. Actually, this person, by the way that she speaks, I'm pretty sure she's from the UK. And I'm not going to waste any more of you guys' time. So she says, Good morning, Court. My story is very brief. I was seeing a man for around 2 months and he abruptly ended it with me. I must say, Court, that I'm gutted about this one. The only thing that has given me relief was your lovely channel and talking with my daughter, but she's at uni and very busy. I do believe I'm a disorganized attachment and have been listening to your affirmations for the past 23 days, but I am still distraught. So I'm gonna finish it up real quick, and I'm gonna give my feedback. The most hurtful part about it all is that he changed his WhatsApp profile picture to a picture of him and his ex, a person he said that he hated. How do I heal from this relationship? I'm going to break this down. Sweeten, hello. I'm going to break this down point by point. I was seeing a man for around 2 months, and he ended it abruptly with me. I must say, Court, that I'm gutted about this one. I was so 2 months. All right, you guys know that I feel like 2 months is still the getting to know you phase of the relationship. I personally feel like it takes 90 days before you actually know who a person is. Even longer than that. Well, 90 days is kind of like they can be on their best behavior and can hide, what their true intentions are. If he abruptly left you, makes me wonder, what signs did you miss? Did you miss something? Was there a lack of chemistry that was happening? I do appreciate the short email, and this was actually a free one, but you actually need a little bit more details for me to give you like a real good analysis about exactly what happened here. I know you're asking, how do I heal from this? And I think healing, part of it is going back and truly digging into what exactly happened. Because when a person gets ended, when they get a relationship ended abruptly like that, they want closure. And the closure for me is usually in the details. Now, it depends on the type of person you are and the type of literally the type of attachment you have, because some people can just say, all right, well, I'm off to better, to greener pastures. But if you're someone that needs an answer, that needs to understand why it happened, then you definitely need to ask more questions while you're going through the dating process. And I know it may be a little bit prying if you're doing it too early, but you just saying that you need to give me a little bit more details here. And I appreciate you reaching out. Disorganized attachment. I'm going to put that link in my description. If you guys are watching the replay, I'm going to put my fearful avoidant healing affirmations in the description. And what's the other details there? My daughter, she's at uni, so I'm assuming that you're older. You have a daughter that's old enough to be in university. And I would ask you, what type of friend circles do you have? Like, do you have a friend circle? Do you have someone close that you can talk to? And usually, if you're leaning heavy on your kids, then you may not have that outlet. I would say, consider going to a therapist or seeing a counselor, and just kind of processing this with them. I recommend journaling. And, since you're gutted about a relationship that was only 2 months, it makes me wonder, what was your relationship history? Because is this something that's normal? Is this like a typical situation for you? That's another question I would have. Um, I'm assuming that you may be doing a little bit of stalking if you notice that his WhatsApp picture changed back to his ex girlfriend, which is another question. Like, were you a rebound? How long were they broken up for? These are all really good questions you have to ask when you're dating someone. And what usually happens is we get caught up. We don't really want to know about the details of that person's life. I don't know whether it's because of some type of insecurity. I know some people don't want to know the details, the history, because they get jealous and they don't want to like think about their person being with another person. But for me, I feel it's important because usually the patterns lead to what the future is going to look like. If there's someone that's quickly, abruptly leaving people, if they've only had, 1 to 2 month stints relationships with people, then it's a good chance that you may not go the distance either. So it's very important to ask those questions, like even their family history. When you go to the doctor and you say you may have an ailment, there's a reason that they have like this long list of history information about how you got to their doctor's visit that day, right? They're asking you about, all right, or is your family prone to diabetes, or is your family, have some type of mental health issues in the past? And there's a reason for that, and it's also the same. I feel it's the same way with relationships, because the saying, how a person does one thing is how they do everything. So if they're continuously, going and breaking hearts, I mean, I'd be interested to know how you guys met. If you guys are just joining me, I'm talking about an email. You guys will be able to see this on the replay about the story. It's a lady who was seeing a guy for 2 months. He ended up abruptly ending it with her. And the title of the email was, "My dismissive avoidant rebounded with another woman." So I would imagine that you have kind of pin this person as a dismissive avoidant. And I must tell you that 2 months of knowing someone, that's not enough time to know what type of attachment style they have. I mean, because it could have been a case where the person was just not that interested in you. If he was rebounding from you, from his ex to you, then he may not be a dismissive avoidant. I mean, and I understand the logic behind it, because we want to make sense of things sometimes. We want to feel like, oh, we mattered to that person. But what if this was a case where he just wasn't totally into you because he was trying to get over his ex? I mean, because they can show up like someone who's avoiding too, because they're just not completely invested. They're not giving their all in that relationship. Hey, Allie, anybody have questions? I'm going to be on here very briefly today, but I'm going to try to do this more regularly. I promise. I promise. You guys can hold me to that. It's fall. School is back in session, and I enjoy doing this. This echo here, I apologize for that. All right, so yeah, I thought this was an interesting email. It was very short, but I'll fire off a question for you. Narcissism versus dismissive avoidant. How can I tell the difference? Do you feel it's ever relevant to know whether it's either or? Um, yeah, it is very relevant. I actually have a video about that, narcissist versus dismissive. And I feel like dismissive avoidance, it's just a way that they handle stressors, stressful situations and relationships. But for narcissism, it's more of like just a character of the person. Narcissists are ways the way that they show up are kind of like selfish. And I don't want to just fire off any random stuff here because that's like a whole nother video. Um, if you look up cluster B personality types, a lot of them have the same type of little characteristics that shows up in their personality. So for example, narcissists tend to be more gaslighty. They tend to be people who are more selfish. They don't really have a whole lot of empathy for a person that they're in a relationship with because it's usually about me, me, me. It's about what can I get out of this. And for dismissive avoidance, it's more of like when I feel overwhelmed and I feel stressed about this relationship, I pull back. I'm closing up because I don't know how to handle this. It's like their emotional bandwidth is very small compared to narcissists. They may look like they can run hoops, and there's so many different types of narcissists that it's a really thanks for the question, but it's really broad because there's covert, there's grandiose, there's overt. There's a lot of different narcissists that show up differently. So for the most part, the dismissive avoidant, like you'll know that they care for you and they have feelings for you, and if you do know their history, you understand why they are the way that they are because they usually had parents that didn't meet their emotional needs. And so to be fair, narcissists do have pretty traumatic histories too. It's just at some point they say, "All right, it's a dog eat dog world now," and a lot of this is done subconsciously, right? 95% of the way we operate is subconscious, but narcissists are really good at doing things that and they consciously they're accessing that 5% when they're doing some things to kind of manipulate you or treat you poorly. It's almost like I'm going to dig the knife in a little deeper. All right, any more questions? Christy said it. Dismissives have empathy, narcissists do not. That is the difference, and that's a really hard thing to do to kind of like analyze that because when I was working with at-risk youth, I used to work with kids that were on the spectrum, and kids that are on the spectrum, they can look like they don't have empathy too. That doesn't make them narcissists, but and I think that's more like the Google version of what narcissists are. Um, it's just that they don't, people who are on the spectrum, they don't have that ability to pick up on what you're feeling, your vibe in that moment. If that makes sense. Been watching me since forever. I appreciate you, Nelson. Where are you from? Sweden. All right. 6 6 p.m. over in Sweden. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all time. Appreciate you guys coming in and adding some value. Chrissy, you got a question for me? Yeah, I enjoy doing this, man. This is it brings me life. It really does. I just really enjoy watching people have breakthroughs, having people understand that they can just take control of their own life. Like they feel empowered after some conversations that we have. Like it's such a rewarding job. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, um, if I'd be doing something like this, probably like, yeah, you. I don't know, cause I'm an introvert, and I don't like putting myself out there. This is why I can care less about any type of acknowledgement about it because I just like doing it. I'd be the person that's like behind the scenes doing working in IT or something. So when someone asks me like, "Are you sure you're not an avoidant?" I don't know if introvert behaviors are necessarily avoidance. You know, I'm and I had to tell her, I'm more of an anxious attacher. I was that way my whole life until I actually got some education behind it. Thanks, Chrissy. If you guys are coming in, you have any questions, I'm going to recap here real quick. I was actually reading the email from an email client, and she was seeing a guy for 2 months, and she kind of pinned him as a dismissive avoidant. And I feel like 2 months is a little too early to know what a person's attachment style is, especially if you don't really talk a lot about. And they're not going to open up about that information either. So I guess that might be a good kind of a good indication that they might be more avoidant. But in this case, I'm thinking more along the lines that this person wasn't that interested in her. Not, I mean, no hard feelings. I hope it doesn't hurt your feelings. Whatever, not whatever, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't hurt your feelings. But I always try to be as accurate as I can because I really feel like what relationship coaching is actually time management. Where can you put your time? Is this something that you want to invest more time in, or do you want to invest your time in how to heal from this? And what a healing process will look like for this is, journal. Go see people that you need to see. If you need to see a counselor, a therapist, and process this, lean on your support system. That's actually what coaches and therapists are supposed to do, is to help you be able to lean on your natural support systems, and not to be with them forever. Where you can lean on your community, you can lean on your church, or you can lean on your friends, or your even your parents. So journal. I like journaling because journaling puts your thoughts out on paper. It puts it right out in front of you, right? Where you can actually see what it is you're going through. Richard, is that how you say your name? Richard, appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you. I don't know how you celebrate that, but you want to put yourself in a position where you can process it. I really feel like I was talking to a client the other day, and I was telling her, I said, I really feel like if you really do the work and study yourself, kind of meditate on yourself, understand where a lot of your wounds came from, you can be your own best therapist. There's not a therapist or a coach that can tell you anything about what your experience is, because you are the expert of your own life. So journaling helps with that. Going through and making amends with the people in your life that you need to make amends with. That's another one too. I think that's actually one of the more important ones because there are people who have given you wounds that you necessarily didn't know were there. Perfect example. I was watching I, I was talking to my fiance about this, and I was telling her about this show that used to come on. Maury used to come on, and they had this show where this woman who she the show, because they say glowed up, so she glowed up, so she went back onto the show to kind of address a guy that gave her a wound, a deep wound, a core memory, a core wound from in seventh grade, and she was like bullied and made fun of, and his husband and his wife, now he had a wife, said, I think you should go back on that show and talk to the people, anyone that you did wrong, you need to go do it. And he was a God fearing man, so he said, yeah, it's time to go face the music. So he went to the show, and she like came out like she was like all dialed up and different now, and he apologized, and she said that really hurt me, and he didn't even remember it. She said that you wrote me a letter. I wrote no, she wrote him a letter in seventh grade, and he pretended like he was going to like start dating her, but he publicly embarrassed her, and everyone in the class was like making fun of her and teasing her, and that stuck with her. I think she might have been like 32 or 33 or something. But seventh grade, a wound she got in seventh grade actually carried all the way through her life. It affected relationships. He wasn't even in a relationship. And and something tells me she's done a lot of therapy work. Something tells me that she really dug deep as to where she got this insecure wound from, and she was able to pin it with the guy that gave the experience that he had in seventh grade. He's like, I don't even remember it. And I was kind of a you know what back then. So you guys can do that too. Journaling helps with that. It really does. And I know some of it can be very dark, 'cause especially with the extreme cases where you don't want to go back and relive those memories, but it's important. It can be key to the way that you show up in your relationships and actually having a fulfilling and healthy life. Even for your kids, especially if you have kids, because you want to be able to lay out a path for them that is not as tumultuous as the one that you had. But that's it, guys. It's good to see everyone. Thank you again, Richard, for the super chat, brother. Um, this actually proves that he's been watching me forever. Appreciate you, man. Love all you guys as always. I want you guys to always remember when you go be love, you'll never have to find it. Peace.